In this demonstration, we're going to show you how Power BI could answer the stakeholder questions in 20 minutes with minimum codes and simple drag and drop. At the end of the 20 minutes, we should see 5 things. Number 1, a title. Number 2, a slicer with selection by month and year. And number 3, 3 visual charts. Using the finance data set, we will have to answer the 3 stakeholder questions. Which month and year had the most profit? Where is the company seeing the most success by country? Which product and segment should the company continue to invest in? Before we start Power BI, it is often a good habit to know 2 things. How many rows do we have and how many columns, so that we would know the extent of the data set, whether it is big, medium size or small. If you would like to see how big this data set is, simply place your cursor on A1, go to Shift Control right side of the key, and you should be able to see that you have 16 columns. And if you would like to see how many rows you have, place your cursor on A1, press Shift Control down, and you should be able to see that you have 701 rows. So this means that this is a small data set for us to do data exploration, and yet it has sufficient columns for us to do data manipulation. The process will go like this, which is GTVS. G stands for get data, T transform data, V visualize the data, and S share the insights. So GTVS is an acronym created by Rebecca In to help learners to be able to remember the process easily. Next, we will get data, which is the finance report in Excel. There are 2 ways to get the data. You can go by the semantic model, or you can look for the Get Data button at the top ribbon. To transform the data, you get to access Power Query from Power BI. You can do it by 2 methods, at the navigator screen, or you can right-click on the data set, look for Edit Query, and it will bring you into Power Query. You will get to transform data in 5 steps. Firstly, transform it from title to cap, transform the numbers that shows inconsistency, or convert it to currency, unfilter the data set, and you get to do 2 simple steps. They are summation or create a calendar table. And you're now ready to do the 5 visuals. Are you now ready for the 20 minutes challenge? We are right now in the Power BI screen. To get data, you can actually do so by the top ribbon, or you can also import data from Excel over here. I've actually chosen to get data from the top ribbon. You will open up a variety of choices. Where do you want to get data from? Whether it's Excel, CSV folder, or even from the SharePoint folder, or at the same time SQL Server. So I've actually chosen Excel workbook because it's residing in my desktop. At this point, it will prompt you which worksheet do you want to actually import from. I've chosen financial. And another decision point is, do you want to load data immediately to the report view, or you want to transform data, which will bring you into the Power Query. I've chosen to load data. You are in a Power BI report view right now. If you click upon the data set on your right, you can see all the field types are there. I would like to take this time to introduce quickly a few tabs to you. So over here, this is the report view where you put all your visuals, or we call it the Canva. This is the table view. If you click upon it, you click your data set, you can see all your columns and the column headers. So this allows you to browse through how the data set is like. This is a model view. If you have this data set and you merge with another data, you can actually form a data modeling. At this point in time, we only have one data set, so we will close this. There's also filters which we can use, and because we use quite a lot of slicers, so I will not introduce too much on this. The visualization pane is where you have a variety of visual choices that you can actually use for your visualization and your data set. Now that you have your financial sample data set in Power BI, you may want to save it. To do so, simply press Ctrl S, give it a file name. So over here is Finance Sample Part 2, and you have actually saved it in your desktop. You can see that the file name from Untitled has been changed to Finance Sample Part 2. There are 5 areas that require data transformation. To do so, we right-click on the data set, look for Edit Query, and it will bring you into the Power Query software residing within Power BI. How do I know? There's this word called queries here. The columns and the data are reflected here. On my right, you can see that the word properties, the file name is still called financials, and there are 3 applied steps. I can also rename the file name instead of financial to call it finance sample. And you can see that the file name is also changed here. To do our first data transformation, we would actually look at segment. you can see that the segment right now is in title because I want to make it more prominent when I do my visuals. So I'm going to right click here, go to transform, go to uppercase. So you can see that the title case has been changed to uppercase on a one click basis. As you move down, let's take a look at country. There are 5 countries. They looks fine. And for product, there's one product that is no longer available. It's called Montana. So I'm going to unclick it. And you can see that Montana actually disappear from the column. Discount band that there are 4, it looks fine. Unit sold, because unit sold is quantity. And you can see quantity should not be reflected as zero point 0.5. Or if you look at the decimal here, that there are quite a lot of zero point 0.5. So to do so, what we're going to do is to change it to whole number. The rest seems fine. Let's take a look whether there's any data inconsistency. You can see that the manufacturing price, there are a few range. So sales price seems okay. The gross sales looks fine. We're going to look at the discount. So the discount, you can see that there are some data inconsistency with many decimal number. So what I'm going to do right now is to change it to 2 decimal places and it become a currency. The sales looks fine. The sales also have certain data inconsistency. I'm going to change it to fixed decimal number. The COGS looks fine. The profit, it looks fine too. We're going to actually move on to take a look at the date. The date, if you have this, it is actually a date data type. Now what happened is that I'm a bit challenged. We can see that the month number, you have a text. So to do so, you can see that this is in the month of June. What I'm going to do right now is to click upon the cell. You go to replace value and you call it 6. So you actually change the data type inconsistency from text back to numbers. Now what happened is that we do see that the month name can be long. I'm going to change it to just month. For month number, this is in date. And it seems like we are ready to go. Let's take a look at the year. There are 2 years. So it seems like we have cleansed the various columns reflected here, and we are going to do close and apply to ensure that all these steps are being reflected when we go into the visualization. And you're back to the report screen, ready to do your visualization. Right now, we are going to actually create 2 DATs called data analysis expressions. One is a date table, the other one is a summation of profit. Now, some will ask, why do we still need to create a date table? Is to allow you to have a very robust time intelligence functions so that you can do things like year to date, month to date, quarter to date, or even same period last year. You probably might need it as we go along when we do more advanced stats. And why do we need to create profits? Right now, it is only sum. If you want to actually divide the profits divided by sales, you probably need to actually have a total profits and you need to sum. Right now, we are going to create 2 DAX. One is actually a summation, the other one is a date table. We will start with the summation first. So to do so, we need to create a new measure, right click onto the data set and click new measure. And we want to sum up what? For example, we want to sum up the total units sold. Go to sum. When you press sum and you open the bracket, it will bring you besides the table all the few types that can be summed. So I want to sum up the units sold and I close the bracket. And you can see that this table on total units sold has been created. Earlier on, we did say that Power BI already have some aggregated function. So I'm going to double check whether this DAX, the value itself, is the same as the one that is calculated by PBI. To do so, we will use a number card. This is my total units sold. We can see that there's some error. So I'm going to redo the summation again. So it's finance sample quantity sold. Units sold, close bracket. And straight on the screen, you can see 972,000 that appear. We're going to double check to ensure that this is correct. So we're going to do a number cut again, and we're going to click unit sold, which exactly shows the same amount. We will right now create a calendar table. The first question that you'd like to ask yourself is, where do you find the table to write the dates? To do so, you may want to click upon the data set, and you can actually go to this thing called new table, or you may also click upon the modeling and look for this table called write a DAX expression to create a new table. I like to do the part where I click upon the data set and it comes up with a table tool and I click new table. And this message box will pop up. I will call it calendar. And what am I actually doing? Creating a calendar bracket, and you may want to key in the word called date, and it will actually prompt you date go by what format. So we will press date is 2023, month is 1, and date is 1. This is the start date. And then you press date again, and the end date is 2024 December 31st. Close bracket, and you have a calendar table that has been created. So after you have created a calendar table, you may want to go to the modeling to actually link up the date here to this date here, so that in future it will actually aid in further analysis. So over here you can see financial date, calendar date, and because we have many fields connected to one field, and we call it many to one. We will right now take a look at the calendar table, which we can see the date being generated is all the way from 1st January and all the way till 31st December 2024. And of course, if you like, you can also create quarter, month, and we will actually show you in future demonstration. Let's build the report one visual at a time. To start, we go to Insert and look for the text box, and we will key in the title called Financial Summary, Executive Report. You may want to change it to size 20 to make it more visible and bold it, and you may want to actually resize it to one single line, and you're done. Our next visual is to create a line chart, which is profit by date. And why line chart? When we hear the word called date, it is often related to time series. So I'm going to click upon the line chart, and I'll click total profits, and I'll click dates. So our line chart is being created. If you go make the cursor go up, you can see that the line chart could be seen by year, and if you drill down, it could also be interpreted by quarter, by month, and if you go down further by day, because most of our data actually starts from first, so it doesn't make any sense to have this data point, and I'll actually delete this. Our next visual is to actually look at the profits by products or segment. To do so, I will click upon the blank space, and I can click a bar chart, look for total profits by products, by segments. So you can see that my bar chart immediately turned into a step bar chart. And from this diagram, we can see that partial is the product that we are doing well. And most of the partial products, the biggest contributor came from the government segment. Our next segment, which is our last visual, and is also the most exciting part, which is to create a map. Usually in Excel, we need an add-on. But for us, in Power BI, we can easily click the globe. And what do we want to find out? We want to find out profits by country. So we're going to actually click upon the total profits, and we're going to click upon the country. And you can see the bubble size actually depict the amount of profits that the various country have. So you can see that USA has about 740,000, and Canada has about 524,000, and back at the right hand side you have Germany that has a 361,000. So what I'm going to do right now is to change the bubble size to make it more prominent, and also to change the color to pink, which is my favorite. So here it becomes more prominent to know that USA is the biggest contributor, followed by here. If you are unsure and you like to see the actual numbers, you can still go back to the visualization pane, go to table, do a sort. You can see right now from the table, USA is still our biggest contributor, followed by Canada. And if you like, you can also format the total profits to a two decimal place. And I'm going to change it back to the globe again, which is my favorite. I hope you like this visual. Next, while we wanted to create a slicer on the left-hand side, we realized that we don't have enough space with three visuals. This is time where we need to actually organize our visuals. So how do we organize it to give a coherent data story? What we recommend is the overall chart, which is on the right-hand side, the total profits by year could be the main topic that you would like to talk about. So this can be the one that is longer. And the other two will be the supporting chart,
to share at which time whereby the profits is actually increasing, at which time where the profits is actually dropping and why. So we're going to actually move the total profit by product or segment to be slightly smaller. One thing about visuals alignment is that all the charts needs to have equal size. So if I like this size, I probably need to duplicate this size for the next one. So I'm going to actually take a look at the size here for this chart, which is total profit by product and segment. And I take a look at it. The height is 273 and width 475. What I recommend is to change it to 250, 500. And I'm going to change this to 250, 500. Oops, you realize that now it overlaps into the other one. So I'm going to change this to 250, or maybe 450. Over here, 250 and 450. There we go. And we're going to actually align it to be similar or at least have equal spacing. To do so, we're going to actually go up to format, align. We can't distribute right now. So I'm going to actually work on the top and ensure that the alignment is the same. So I'm going to actually shift this and shift this to be aligned to the left. Over here, shift this, align to the right. Okay, and lastly, we're going to actually add some aesthetics to the three charts before we actually look at the slicer. We're going to actually go to the paintbrush. We are going to actually look at general, look at the effects, and our switch on shadow for this. Same, general, shadow for this. Same, do the same thing to ensure consistency, shadow for this. And we would like the title to be all font size 16. So I'm going to click upon this and the title will be font size 16. So make it all title and the same font size 16, title font size 16 and change the small cap. And likewise for the last chart, also font size 16 and change the title cap. So now we created certain consistency among the three charts. The last one is to change the map to grayscale. And you can see that the map background has been changed. After we have created space for the slicer, in the data pane, select the data field, create slicer, and also select the date. And you now have a slicer that is from 1st January to 31st December. Next, we will go to the visualization pane, choose slicer again, look for the slicer settings, and instead of looking for between, we would like to choose the vertical list. At this point in time, we will want to go back to the data field, look for the data hierarchy. Because the manager would like to see the data by year and month, we may want to remove the quarter and the day. So at this point in time, we have already created a slicer year by the date. So if the manager would like to see the 2014 data, and we could click on the respective month like November or December to see the sales data itself. Congratulations! Now that you've created your 5 visuals. You may want to do some light formatting, for example, fine-tune the title or even change the overall color theme. We're going to actually fine-tune the title. To start, go to the insert ribbon, look for a shape, look for the rectangular, the circular corner, and then hover around the text. In the format shape pane, go to style, turn off the border, look for the color, and you realize that you may want to choose selected color. So we are giving you the proposed color code is actually hex 6B91C9. Of course, you can choose a variety of colors over here. As you play along with Power BI, you may want to actually play with various colors itself. And that's it. So now that you realize that shape is actually in front of the text box, you may want to shift the text box up and you can see the text right now. You may even want to change the text to white color and ensure that the transparency is set to 100%. Okay, so right now it's 99% and we are done. The final touch is to change the overall theme to a certain colors. You can change it to purple, or you may want to change it to black, or you may even want to change it to blue to suit the variety of the visuals that you have created. I hope you like this demo and we look forward to giving you more challenge to hone your skills in Power BI.